There's a bit of an introduction for Franco. Who I am, so I'm not going to pronounce that. I'm secretary for the North Oshawa Lions Club. The reason I'm just reading this out, we're on tape. So Franco is a proud resident of the Durham region who recently went through some challenging times when his father and aunt were faced with cancer. Franco was inspired by their courage and decided to take on his own fear head on and help in the fight against cancer. Like many people, Franco has a fear of public speaking. To defeat this fear, he is making an attempt at a Guinness World Record for the most speeches in a day. He will be delivering 23 unique speeches today throughout the Durham region with a goal of raising $16,000 for the Canadian Cancer Society. Since this is a Guinness World Record attempt, there will be some procedures to be followed. Franco will be making one speech at each of the predetermined sites. Today, each speech must be a minimum of 10 minutes in duration. To mark this duration, a bell will signal the start and end of the speech. In order to beat the previous held record of 21 speeches in 24 hours, Franco will be making the 23 speeches in 14 hours. To meet the strict deadline, Franco will have to depart immediately after the speech. Franco and his family sincerely appreciate you attending the speech and your support of the event. Following the Franco's speech, there'll be some picture taking to confirm the number of people in the audience as well. So please stay for a couple minutes after the speech. We are over the minimum number we need, and I understand that a couple of people have to leave, so we'll make that as quick as possible afterwards.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you very much to the North Oshawa Lions for being one of the 23 audiences. Thank you for taking your time out of your day to spend with us a little bit and to be a part of this historic and charitable event. So I may sound a little out of breath. It's because I ran back to the Adelaide House to get my speeches. So if I'm sweating two reasons. One, I'm sweating because I'm up here speaking in front of you. Second, because I had to run back and forth. So sorry about that if I sound a little out of breath. I may take a few more breaks if that's okay. Albert Einstein once said, "The only source of knowledge is experience." And one thing's for sure, I've learned a lot in taking this experience and this event, even up until today. Talking to many community groups throughout the Durham region, sharing a story about my dad. And so I've learned quite a bit about reaching out to the community in ways that I had never ever anticipated. So what I want to talk about is determining the value of an experience. We experience things every day. How do you put a value on that? That's the question I asked myself when I was undertaking this event. How do you put a value on this experience, not only for myself, but for all of the community organizations and members of the public who are going to be a part of it? Some experiences in our lives shape our lives in positive ways. This event has been impactful to me, but in many ways this event has been shaped by several significant experiences and events in my life. And it caused me to ask that question: what's the value of an experience? How do you put a value on that? I spoke previously to the Rotary Club of Oshawa Parkwood about the value of a purpose. You know, I want to share something that I talked about, which is the value I want to talk about the value of an experience. And in doing so, hopefully there's some lessons you can take away from my experiences and that to apply to your lives and work within the community. As many times, people inspire us, right? There's people that we look to for inspiration, whether it's as children, mentors, and so on. We always think of a person as being inspiring. But many times I've found that an experience can be just as inspiring. My dad is a man of few words, and I think I've probably been more inspired. I learned more from my dad, not from what he said, but what he did through his actions. And I think of 1987, where my father decided to take my brother and I through a trip through Italy. Often my grandparents were from Italy. After summers, we'd go and spend there with our grandparents, but we had never left the small village in southern Italy that we would stay for summers at a time. My dad decided to take us through, and my dad is not a art historian or expert in Renaissance architecture or anything like that. And he took us through Rome, Florence, Pisa, Pompeii, Capri, all the places, and all the surrounding areas, and exposed us to some of the world's most important works of art, architecture, and it was impactful to my life. It completely changed the way that I looked at the world. And I was, I think, 11 years old at the time. And so he exposed us to all these things. And it changed my perspective, as I mentioned, my view on the world. What it also did was inspire me. Not in any specific way, but it was inspiring to be exposed to all those things. The fourth thing that I took away from it is that I wanted to repeat that trip again. Not only repeat it, but share it with others. And since then, I've repeated that trip. And I've shared it with my wife and I hope to share it with my children one day. So I use that experience as a barometer, as a template for what I wanted to make this experience like this day as well. And it caused me to ask some questions, the same four things I learned from that trip. How would they apply to this one? Would it be enlightening? Is it going to change your view on something, or someone's view on something? Is it going to inspire me or anyone else? And would it be something that I'd want to share with someone else again, or want to repeat again? And we'll see how far I get. I'm not going to repeat this attempt again, but you never know. Keep your calendars booked for next April 30th. And so what I learned when I came to meet the North Oshawa Lions, and I got the tour around and met everyone, it kind of aligns to what I was talking about in this event. Is now the organization is all about valuable experiences. When you think about it, in a large part, you're building a culture of enhancing lives in the community. And I think of your involvement, remember I got a bit of a tour and I got talking about your involvement in the Murray McKinnon House. I know you work with Hearth Place, Durham Boys and Girls Club, youth camps. And all these charities that you raise money for in various events, many of which are away doing that today. But what you're actually doing is you're enabling those valuable experiences, either directly or indirectly. And those who you impact, you may never ever meet in person. But through your actions, those people, those groups of the community are being enlightened, they're given a new perspective, they're being inspired. And I'm sure in many ways we'll go on to want to repeat what they've experienced by way of the North Oshawa Lions Club. Now, many of these speeches I'm sharing stories of hope from the Canadian Cancer Society because we are all here to support the Canadian Cancer Society. And I appreciate your support. So I want to share a story of hope provided by the Canadian Cancer Society that apply to this notion of value of an experience. And it's a story of a woman named Prue, who said as a cancer survivor, knows the value of hope and connecting with people. In 1999, she was diagnosed with cancer. And after her surgery, the cancer had returned. And after years of intense treatment with a trial drug, she is now cancer-free. But after all that treatment, there was one thing that Prue said that stands out most for her. And it is after her second surgery, a particular nurse came by to spend some time with her. And just to sit and talk. Or not even talk, listen to Prue, to sit there and hold her hand through her treatment. And she said that simple gesture was inspiring for her to want to continue on and repeat that same experience for others. And as such, she's continued on to be a volunteer to share that experience for others who are battling cancer. So, back to the opening quote, the only source of knowledge is experience, and I thank you for your inspiration, for continuing to share those experiences with the community. Thank you very much for spending your time with us today and to support this cause, and have a wonderful rest of the afternoon. Thank you.